Adam, bro, just gonna have to get right into this one, man. Unfortunately, what was being such a great day just didn't end well. This on this third Saturday of October. Man, a lot that I can really say about this game. Definitely disappointing. And honestly, man, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think this hurt more than the Georgia loss. Even though that Georgia loss, like I said, it was like so close and came down to just a gut wrenching play to when we should have won that game. And this wasn't like that, but it was just, I don't know, something about it taking that second loss of the season. Let's let you start out, man. What do you think? What's your thoughts on this?
Leading up to the game, we both kind of laid it out on the line of exactly what we thought it was going to take for Tennessee to win this game, to snap that streak of losing in Tuscaloosa. And, we kind of laid it out. We kind of said what we thought needed to happen. Watching the game, man, it almost felt like Tennessee did the exact opposite of everything that we said needed to happen, ironically. And, just when you look up and down some of the statistics and, you look at the final score and you kind of look at the way things played out, I don't know, man. It's
Yeah.
tough. It's so tough. I've been pondering on it and thinking about it and kind of looking back on what was left on the field and crucial key moments that I've kind of replayed in my head multiple times. Man, like you said, for whatever reason, even though we got beat by the margin that we got beat by, it just feels like it hurts more than getting beat by Georgia
Yeah.
in that close game. Yeah, it's one of those ones as Tennessee fans we remember this feeling all too well, man. It's so familiar
Yeah.
to us.
It is, man. I know we've beat Bama, but that's another hump that we haven't got over is beating Bama at Bama. And
Yep.
and just we talk about Josh Heupel and getting this team over certain moments and like beating Georgia, beating Bama and Bama. These are things he's not doing. There's still an opportunity later in the year. We'll talk about that later on about trying to, beating Florida in the swamp.
Yep.
And this should be a year that you would think we should be able to do that. But things
Mhm.
like this kind of make you question, can we get those big games? Um, I think a reason, man, that you're talking about the score being 37-20 and getting beat by 17, and you just when you glance at that, you're like, oh, we just got absolutely dominated. But I think some of the things, man, we'll get into stats, and I know you got some stuff over it, but when you lead in passing and rushing throughout the game,
Yeah.
and you lose by a margin of 17, you made mistakes as a team, like on the offensive side of the ball who I mean, I know we've made mistakes before, but man, I mean, like the right before halftime, what a swing! I mean, 14-point swing right there. Um,
Yeah.
and it hurt getting the safety, and I especially because held on Joe. Joe made some crucial mistakes in this game. Getting the safety was one of them. He was standing back there too long. There was a guy open that check down play. Live to see another day kind of thing on that. But even with that, we would have taken that 16-14 at halftime. I mean, we got the
Yeah.
ball. I mean, what was it like the 2 yard line, right, so right there, about to
Mhm.
score. We got to watch this game together. I know everybody kind of, it's like we all looked away for a second, looked back away, and next thing you know, man, Bama's running the opposite way with that.
Yeah.
Just no excuse, no time left at the end of the half there. There's no reason that game
Yeah.
should not have been. We'll just give them the safety, that
Yeah.
should have been a check down, but say that happened. There is no reason that game shouldn't have been
Yeah.
16-14 going into the half. And then
Yeah.
we were still able to score and run the ball, even in the second half. Now we couldn't stop them. That's unfortunate because I feel like our defense was able to stop them a little bit in that first half. Because you think Bama only scoring 16 points in the first half, I feel like we would have took that,
Yep.
from what we've watched all year. And then so when you have a chance to have made it should have been a 2 point game at halftime, I would have taken that all day, 16 to
Mhm.
14. But that's that flip there. And then our defense after that, the momentum was they couldn't hold them the whole game. But we said it, offense needed to play perfect, and they didn't. It was just the mistakes. I mean, they was moving the ball all down the field, but just the mistakes, man. And you were right on one thing. Talk about this. If they punted the ball more than twice, they would lose this game. And I think they punted 3 times.
Yeah.
Definitely disappointing.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off what you said, man. The safety that happened, even though it was a disappointing outcome and just something that was so frustrating in the moment to watch happen,
Hmm.
especially the way that it happened with the intentional grounding call that resulted in a safety. That's something that Tennessee could have easily bounced back from. I mean, that happening that didn't really pave the way for the rest of the game. It didn't result in the outcome that we got. It was the interception right before halftime, man.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
what sealed the deal. You could have lived with the 2 point safety. The throw by Joey Aguilar was just horrendous. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't even make that throw to the inside. That's a throw that you either are
Or it was an out
missing.
route.
Right. That's a pass that you are leading the tight end. I'm pretty sure he was throwing it to Kitzelman on that play.
Yeah.
That's a pass that you are either throwing out of bounds because you put too much on it, or the tight end is making a play to the outside.
I got what you're saying. Throwing it like instead of throwing it on the inside of him, you want it going on the
Yeah,
outside.
yeah. You do not under any circumstance, because how many times, a lot of pick sixes happen with the other
Yeah.
team going the length of the field just because there's nobody else. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know, man. It's just, you get to thinking
Yeah.
about it and it just gets you even more mad, to be
Oh,
honest
dude.
with you.
Because, like, not only, even if it was an interception that gets stopped, say the guy
Right,
catches him there,
right.
that sucks, but we're still
Yep.
looking at manageable. But that was the worst case scenario, the absolute worst case. And it just
Yeah,
takes the life out of a team, man. I don't care what you
it
say to him
does.
on halftime. Um, it takes the life out of him. Joey's confidence, I'm sure, had to get knocked by that. And he normally don't, but that
Yep.
had to. And it's frustrating as a Tennessee fan because we score there, make it 16-14. I'm not saying we win the football game because their defense obviously gave up a lot in the second
Right.
half. But I have a feeling instead of 37-20, you're looking at a much more classic game,
Yep.
like a closer game. But I mean, when they're already going in to halftime up 23-7, the second half was kind of back and forth. We were
Yeah.
we were scoring, they were scoring. It stayed back and forth for the most part. So I mean, you're looking at that moment's what did it, and
Yep.
that was the swing. That's a 14-point swing, much
Uh-huh.
closer ball game if that doesn't happen. But what ifs are what ifs. So and it did happen. So um, that's just the frustrating part because it looks like we would have, you look at the score and be like, oh, Bama just had another beat down on Tennessee, but it's that moment just was such a swing, man. I mean, 14-point swing.
Yep. And we don't mean to harp on it
Yeah.
as long as we've been harping on it, but that's just the reality of this football game.
Yeah.
That particular play changed everything for Tennessee. Like you said, in the second half, if you erase the first half, let's just erase it and just act like it never happened. The second half point total was 13-14. Bama scored 7 in the third quarter. We scored 6. Both teams scored 7 points in the fourth quarter. You're looking at a 14-13 game in the second half. It really should have been a tight game, but
Yeah. That's what's
you know,
frustrating.
yeah, aside from the obvious that we've been talking about with the interception there to end the first half. Yes, I did say that if Tennessee punts the ball more than twice, they're going to lose the game. Tennessee opened the game on their first 2 drives punting the ball. Didn't even score in the first quarter. In the second quarter, we kind of came out, got the touchdown, but then that's when the safety and the interception came. In the third quarter, Tennessee had 2 possessions. One was a touchdown, one was a punt. And then in the fourth quarter, 2 possessions again, touchdown, and then turnover on downs, and that's what ended the ball game. So 3 punts. If I'm not mistaken, and I looked it up, but I forgot to write it down. Tennessee forced Bama to punt either 3 or 4 times. So it's like the defense didn't play a terrible game. I mean, I don't think we played a terrible game. Now, we did not get to the quarterback the way we've been getting to the quarterback all
Yeah.
season, and that's a key stat that kind of stuck out in my mind. Tennessee allowed 4 sacks in this game, and Ty Simpson went
Yeah.
untouched. Tennessee didn't get a single sack the entire game, and that's uncharacteristic for both sides. You know what I mean? Tennessee's been mainly protecting Joey Aguilar with only 4 or 5 sacks total for the whole season,
Yeah.
and then you come out and let them sack Joey 4 times in this one game. There's just multiple things that you can pinpoint the loss. You can attribute the loss to.
Yeah, and I think just wanted to add in real quick before we move
Yeah.
on. When you said let's talk about the defense and everything, this is one of those games we can't just blame the defense. Like
Uh-uh.
when Georgia and stuff like that,
No.
the offense has always been there all year. So this first time we really had to, and I'm not gonna say, for the Tennessee fans watching this, of us being negative and saying, "Oh, Tennessee's done great offensively all year." Now you're all going to say they suck. I'm not saying they suck. They just
Right.
had a bad game, and
Yep.
and that was unfortunate because for once the defense
Hmm.
did enough. I mean,
Yeah,
the second half was not
I agree.
right. Now, when people watching this who are Tennessee haters are probably going to be like, "What do you mean y'all's defense got torched all this?" But for what our
Right.
defense has been doing to make a team punt 3 or 4 times who does have a good pass game like that, and it's just our offense made some crucial mistakes that I think
Hmm.
ultimately flipped the game.
Yep.
So for once, our offense was even though we did lead the stat wise in passing and rushing, not by a lot, but
Yep.
we did, and so I think that's why if you looked at the stats, you would think this game was much closer than what it was. But then you see that turnover and what that turnover led to, and those things start adding up.
Yeah. Yeah. If you compare the way our defenses looked so far this season to what we thought they were going to do in this game, it's a big difference. I mean, Tennessee's defense forced a fumble and right there around the midfield, I believe, and Tennessee's
Yeah,
offense gets the ball with a chance to, really, really, really make it a game, and Tennessee's offense does nothing with that opportunity. There's just a lot of missed opportunities in a game like this. Something else that we talked about that sticks out in my mind is the penalties. I mean, it's the same song and dance with this team. 10 penalties for 66 yards. I think the second play of the game, well, the second play of our first offensive possession, lineman jumps off sides. I mean, second play of your
yeah.
first offensive possession and you jump off sides.
Get a false start right off the rip.
Yeah, and it's just like,
Yeah,
here we go. Here we go. I think I said that. I think I physically said, here we go. Yeah, 10 penalties for 66 yards. You can't do that. I mean, you
yeah.
just cannot do that, especially on the road, especially against a team as hot as Bama. Speaking of that, I'm just going to go ahead and give Bama a shout out. I'm just going to go ahead and give them their praise for a minute. Since losing to Florida State in week 1, Bama has won 6 straight games, and 4 of those games are against top 15 opponents. So you just think about that for a second.
An impressive streak.
Out of their 6 straight wins that they're on right now, 4 of those are against well, what were at the time top 15 opponents. Everything kind of gets shuffled around once everybody starts
Yeah,
playing. But at the time of playing those 4 teams, they were all 4 top 15 opponents. It's impressive, man. The turnaround, one would have thought that after that week 1 loss to Florida State, that the walls down in Alabama were crumbling and people were firing
yeah,
Kalen DeBoer off rip off of one game. And
yeah.
what they've done to this point in the season has been so impressive. And that's something that I noticed about Bama just watching them, man. They were able to take advantage of the mistakes that we made. And that was just kind of like a chess game for them.
2 of those teams that they beat in those 4 ranked in a row, number 5 in the nation right now, Georgia, and number
Yeah.
10, Vanderbilt. They're still
Yeah.
ranked top 10. So
Yeah.
just to throw
That's
that
what
out
I'm
there.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, and I was afraid that something like this would happen because as much as I love Tennessee and as much as we're going to continue rooting for them and all that, we didn't have the resume that Bama had coming into this game. I don't think, aside from the Georgia game, I don't think we were battle tested enough to
No,
perform the way you need to perform in situations that we found ourselves in throughout the course of that game. But, ironically enough, like you've already stated a couple times on this episode, the statistics are kind of confusing when you look at the
no,
scoreboard. I mean, Tennessee had more first downs than Alabama in the whole game. Obviously, more total yards, which means more passing and rushing yards. Each team had 1 turnover. They capitalized on theirs. We didn't. So it's just it's just one of those head scratchers that you almost feel like, even though yes, you got beat by 17 and it kind of looked ugly at times, you kind of walk away from this one scratching your head like, how did we not
make it close at
make it
least.
close? And honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and say, how did you not come away with a win potentially? I mean, I want to give kudos to Tennessee for one thing, and I will say this. Um, of course, to start the second half, Bama got the ball back. Now, this is after Tennessee threw the interception. They ran it back for a touchdown. You come out to start the second half. Tennessee holds Bama to a punt. Tennessee gets the ball, comes down the field and scores.
Yeah. I mean,
So, I
after
mean,
that,
but yeah, and it's like, okay, well, obviously we kind of turned the page there for a minute, but then again, here comes everything else. So yeah, I'm gonna be scratching my head on this game for a while, man, because like you said, to start this whole thing out, it hurts. It hurts a little
yeah,
bit more than the Georgia loss because you just feel like the two losses that we have to this season, I really do feel like they didn't have to be losses, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and we're not, and I say this is because people will be like, everybody likes to hate and say whatever. This is just being real, man. I mean, you look at
Yep.
the stats and say we're not saying Tennessee's a better team than Alabama right now.
At all.
Clearly not, right?
No.
Bama's the better team, but it's just the fact that when you break down our season right now, we kick a field goal, we beat Georgia. We make some plays that we need to make and don't make some mistakes, some crucial mistakes. It's not
Yep.
even small. These was not small mistakes. These are, like I said, 14-point swings, not capitalizing on a turnover, stuff that if that could have happened, you could be looking at a total different ball game. And that's what made it tough. Like statistically, didn't look like Tennessee was going to give up either. But then when Bama kept scoring after that, there's where the defense had to bend some and it was going to happen. So no takeaway from how Bama played. We're not saying, oh, Bama only won because Tennessee played bad.
Right.
But
Right.
but Tennessee's opportunity to win the game
Yep.
was there in those moments and had that, in some of those crucial mistakes they made. And that's down to like a play or two, you know what I mean, that can flip some of that around. That's what's frustrating for us as a Tennessee fan. I think I just was important to notate that because we're not
Yeah.
trying to be like those fans that say, oh, well, you only won because their team did this. No, but things could have been a lot closer. And then when you're in a close game, that's when you can win.
Yep.
If it's when it's down to the wire and it's close, that's what you want to do as a team who's the underdog. You want to hold a
Yep.
team to that, and then there's your opportunity to win. And I just felt like, it just sucks that we didn't have that opportunity in the end because we didn't let ourselves get to that point.
Yeah, we're not,
Uh,
by no means are we delusional fans or whatever
yeah,
people are going to say, because that's just not the case. Like you said, I mean, we're just calling it like we see it. And yeah, just so many key moments in there that you let the game slip
yeah,
away from you. I guess that's the best
exactly.
way to sum it up. You
Yeah.
let the game kind of slip away from you.
And on the flip side, on this is the last time I'm going to mention the interception, but good read on the defender too.
Yep,
So,
100%.
great play on him. So I don't want to take away from that either.
Yep,
But you got to put that ball on the outside
yep.
or not at all. If it's not catchable to anybody but the receiver.
Run, do something. I mean,
Yeah.
do something. I remember in the moment when I saw the play happen, I was like, man, that when they went back and just kind of replayed it and all that, I was just like, he was going nowhere else with that ball. Anyone on that defense saw where he was going with the
Yep.
ball.
Yep.
And I think I referred to that play as a one trick pony or something like that, just because I mean, as soon as he snapped the ball, he turned to his
That's
right
where
and
it was going.
he was ready to go.
Yep.
You gotta, in those moments, man, especially on the goal line. I mean, you're so close to getting a score there, and you had to throw the ball. Everyone in the whole stadium knew you had to throw the ball just because of the time
Yep.
and all that. You couldn't afford to let the clock run out on a run play if you didn't get in the end zone. And
Exactly.
really, you know, thinking about it now, that's another mishap with clock management on Heupel. Earlier before that interception play happened, there was like 20 some seconds on the clock, and Heupel had all three timeouts or something like that, and he could have saved himself at least
Yep.
8 to 10 seconds by calling a timeout a little bit sooner than he did. Instead, he snuck one more play in there, which caused the clock to run down even further, and then
Yep.
burned through all three of his timeouts within a span of like 20 seconds or 15 seconds. So, it wasn't hard to figure out what we were going to do on that play. But yeah, there you go again, though, man. Another appearance of the questionable clock management skills of Josh Heupel. Frustrating. Everything about it
Yep.
was just frustrating.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, and we're not out here calling for his job or anything, but those are just
No,
that
Lord, no.
we've said that he's been great, but those are the little things you've got to point out
Yep,
sometimes as a fan,
yep.
and that's something we've noticed throughout the season. And another one, like you said, I mean, I think my cousin was watching the game with us, and he watched straight up, was like, why didn't he use the timeout there? And he doesn't even watch Tennessee football. I mean, he
It
watches
doesn't,
football, but he just kind of casually was just like, what are you
yeah.
doing?
It just doesn't make sense to me. And there's no strategy that they could try to say they were using or sticking to that
No.
could ever make me feel otherwise. You use your timeouts, and he just has a history of kind of screwing the pooch on that for sure.
Yeah, he does.
Honestly, as far as, if you don't mind, let's just take a few minutes here to just kind of look ahead, because I mean it's going to be important for us to put this one behind us as fans. The
Yeah.
players and the coaching staff, that's their job to put it behind them. But as fans, to have somewhat of a positive outlook for the rest of the season, I think it's important to just kind of put this one behind us. Looking at the rest of Tennessee's schedule, it's not easy. It's not easy by any
No.
means. You've got three. I'm not going to overlook any team, but I think, out of the 5 games that we've got left, I'm not overlooking any team, but I think we can all agree that 3 of them are no walk in the park. I mean, you've got Oklahoma. Luckily, it's at Neyland Stadium.
Mhm.
Then you go on the road in that other game, to play in the swamp.
Yeah.
That's another streak that we're trying to break. Josh
Yeah.
Heupel's yet to do it. And then, like you mentioned earlier in this episode, man, number 10 Vandy is just kind of mind blowing to talk about. But those are 3 games right there that, I mean, if Tennessee continues to go down the path of self destruction in key moments in
Mhm.
games, and destruction might be a little overkill on the word there, but if they just continue to shoot themselves in the foot and continue to play undisciplined and continue to choke in key moments in big time games. So those 3 games right there could easily be L's. And
Yeah.
I'm not being a Debbie Downer and I'm not being a negative person, but man, it's just, if you don't believe that, then you are a delusional fan, because those 3 teams have sneakily beat teams and won games and are, Oklahoma's considered to be a top team, and you see what Vandy's doing. Florida's struggling, but I mean they've even pulled out a couple wins that were kind of impressive. So it's untelling, man. It's
Yeah.
really untelling what's going to happen.
Yeah, and obviously we'll continue to dive into those games, but it is something
100%.
to think about. I was actually going to ask you how you feel about the rest of the season, and
Yeah.
and, and Florida just being at the Swamp is why that's such a not
Yep.
well, Florida's always a tough opponent for us, and they always give us a hard time, and
Uh-huh.
they've had moments where they look better than what they are, but um obviously not been a great team this year, firing their coach and everything. I know some Florida fans are real happy about that one, but yeah, man, I mean that's one thing that concerns me there is like how do we handle this loss? You know what I mean? Going forward. Because at this point you got to be able to turn it around. And I
Uh-huh.
think you've got to not just turn it around. You need to play dominant for the rest of the year. Because the season's not over in my opinion,
Right. You're right.
but it's going to take some dominant like play. You're going to have to, you know, Kentucky, you're going to have to beat them by it can't be no down to the wire, type
Right.
game. You need to
Right.
go in and handle them like you're supposed to. And I mean, if you get beat by Kentucky, then we'll break down into that game a little bit more this week. But you get beat by them, your season's done, man. Kentucky's bottom barrel of the SEC right
Yeah.
now, and so you got to go in and handle that kind of game. Or New Mexico State, obviously, I don't think that'd be a worry there, but you got
Right.
to take care of that. But you're gonna have to win. You're gonna have to win, and you're gonna have to win these games pretty deep. Like Florida, realistically, you need to go in and beat Florida by a couple touchdowns and look pretty
Yep.
good while you're doing it.
Yep.
If Vandy continues to win and you're playing them there, it can be a close game. Still
Right.
going to be a top 10
Right.
win, right? So if
Yep.
Vandy continues to play well, um, and stays up to that, I know they got a tough schedule too. There's opportunities to lose there, but Oklahoma, another top a team that you just have to turn it around and not let, because it's easy
Uh-huh.
right now to let the way they lost to Bama pretty much
Yep.
end your season. But because if you win out, you end the year 10-2,
Yep.
you've still got a chance at the playoffs, and
Right.
that's
Right.
something that as I think the team, I guess the coaching staff, they got to let the team know, hey, season ain't over, so you got to bounce back. As fans, it's hard to bounce back. It does
Uh-huh.
create doubts in my head, and I'm not even going to make my prediction on whether we'd get, whether that happen
Right.
or not. I would be pleasantly surprised, let's just say that, if we won the rest of our games.
Yep. That's fair.
But I do think Tennessee's got talent. I don't think we're, this big top team or anything like that. That
Uh-huh.
that we're not playing like that right now. But they are talented. They do have a
Uh-huh.
very good offense, and we've seen it when they do play well, what their offense can do. I just think you got to get this is going to show the rest of the season. Are you going to be a really good team, or are you going to let it crumble?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. I think the days of Tennessee having the mindset and the stigma of I hope we can just keep up with them. I hope we can just make it a close game. That type of attitude towards the team that we are. I'm a firm believer that those days are gone. I think that Tennessee has the capability of going in and just being competitive with just about anyone they play. I mean, you just think the things that Heupel's done since he's been here and all of that, I feel like he's got us to that point culture wise.
Yeah.
And I'm mainly talking SEC play, and kind of referring to the two losses that we have so far this season. In years past, you look back at those games when they're coming up on the schedule, and really we just dreaded them. And those I do think that those days are gone. I mean, at some point the tide has to turn, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And we got to start knocking some of these teams off that we've got on the
Yeah.
schedule. But yeah, just having a positive outlook on the rest of the season. Hopefully Tennessee will take care of business in the games that they're supposed to win, and those three tough ones that we mentioned. Hopefully, we clean up some of the nonsense and find ways to win for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, speaking of teams that no longer have head coaches, it seems like coaches are getting
Dropping
picked
like
left
flies
and
out here, man.
yeah, man, it's like every other week somebody's getting fired. Which this one's kind of been coming for a while now. Talks of Billy Napier getting fired started really last season, heavy early in the season. He kind of
Yeah.
saved his job. We know the story. But Florida pulls the trigger finally this season, fires Billy Napier after they won,
Yeah.
beat Mississippi State. We have a buddy that's a Florida fan, and he kind of told us, Billy's getting fired, win or lose, after this week, and he's the one that follows all the Florida stuff and all
Yeah.
that. So I took his word on it. But real quick, and I'll let you chime in. Florida, Billy Napier as Florida's head coach. He was there for 4 years, of course. His overall record was 22-23 and 12-16 in SEC plays. Kind of speaks for itself why he got fired, honestly.
Yeah, man. I mean, those type of stats, dude. At a program like Florida, the expectation at Florida is to do good at football.
Yeah,
And it is. I mean, it's one of those programs. And their basketball is usually good too. So I'm not meaning like
Mhm.
just like they're a football school, but the expectation is that the football program is going to be competitive
Yep.
and they're going to win football games. And if you go, I mean, I'm surprised they gave him as long as they did. And again, I think it was all because last year at the ending
Yep.
of the season, saving his job, they're like, all right, let's see what this season does, keeping him with another quarterback and everybody returning and being like, let's see if we can keep that momentum rolling.
Right.
And then clearly, when it wasn't working this year, they were done. It was like that win or lose this weekend, like he'd said, and it really was. I think their mind was made up. This game
Yep.
would be his last one, and so it's interesting to see who Florida's going to end up picking up and what's going to happen. That's a big program. Probably going to throw some money at someone. Somebody's going to take that for sure. So
Yeah,
be
it's definitely
interesting.
gonna be an attractive job. I would go as far as to say that it's probably the number one open position. I would consider it even higher than Penn State for sure too, as far as coaching vacancy
Yes,
on
man.
a college football team. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in giving coaches time.
Yep.
I think Florida was patient with Billy. I agree with it 100%. I think four
Yep.
years, in 4 years, you should have definitely done something, I'm not saying you should have won a natty in 4 years, but there should be signs of consistently good play on the field,
Hmm.
consistently good recruiting,
Winning
progression year.
records or something.
Yeah, winning records year after year. After 4 years, I think that's a good sample size. And regardless of if you win or lose or whatever the case may be, they gave him a chance. They gave him a
Yeah,
chance, fair enough
for sure.
chance, and I do respect that aspect of it. I think the timing of it was proper and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah, because this year, like you said, it was just or like we were talking about, they gave him a chance, and then I was just like I was saying that this was going to be the year to see if that momentum continued. It didn't. It's time to part ways. So I agree.
It may
Not
not.
as surprising as when Penn State fired James Franklin.
Right,
It really
right,
wasn't.
yeah.
So yeah,
And if you look around the league, and there's some chatter of some other big time coaches potentially getting fired
um,
soon if they don't turn things around. I've seen rumblings of LSU with Brian Kelly.
so yeah,
I've seen rumblings of Hugh Freeze at Auburn, and then Mike Norvell at Florida State. I'm pretty sure those three coaches. Those are three huge programs,
yeah.
massive programs. I've seen talks of them being on the hot seat and being close to getting fired too potentially.
Mont Norvell doesn't beat Bama at the first of the year and start their season 3-0 like they did. Mont Norvell's probably would be
Yeah,
fired by that point. I
yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
You're probably right, man. You're probably right.
And now after that last loss, probably on his way
Yeah.
out soon would be my
Yep.
guess.
Yeah, and And Brian Kelly, with that offense, the way it's been struggling all year and kind of not living up to the expectations of the
Mhm.
LSU team throughout the season so far. And then on top of that, the icing on the cake, taking that L to Vandy. Not a
Yeah,
good look down there either, man, to be honest with you.
yeah. I mean, even though I guess with the Vandy one, you can say it's still a good team.
For sure.
But he's kind of, I feel like his name's been like tossed up a little bit. Like it's kind of back and forth with him at
Yeah.
LSU. So it's kind of like when he does have the negatives now, it's gonna, he gets on the hot seat pretty quick there. And I think it's because of how it's went, you know. So I could see them maybe after this season being done with him.
Yeah. Who knows, man? This might not be the last episode we put out when we mention a coach getting fired.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to say.
There's a lot of them out there. An upset alert. Man,
I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe it.
I'll just go ahead and get it out of the way. We obviously had the quote on Miami being the best team we felt like in the league. Um, and I'll be the first to say we were wrong. Obviously, we were wrong, and it's okay to admit you're wrong. It's just people who talk about sports, you're gonna have to admit it at times. Just as what it is. Professionals will mess up and predict things. Now, I still stand by the fact that at that point in time, from what we had seen, that's the only thing you can go by. I didn't know Carson Beck was going to come out and throw 4 interceptions in a game randomly. One of those being while they're driving down the field to win the games. I mean, they were at least getting, would have been a field goal range, I'm sure, to tie
Right.
that game. But yeah, I mean, man, that's kind of what I notated on there. He threw 4 interceptions and that one driving late in the game. You can't win
No.
many games. And the game's still on, and I know they ranked Louisville now at 19. And I mean, Louisville's a one-loss team, so
Right.
I get it. Uh, Miami threw 4 interceptions and the game was still only 24-21.
Yeah.
So Louisville, that kudos to them. That's cool and they're ranked.
100%.
I don't think they're playoff contenders or anything like that.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, I didn't watch that game, so I don't know how the interceptions were all the, I seen the highlight of the one late in the game, and that
Right.
looked like Carson Beck's fault for sure. So I don't know how many of those were just his fault or the defensive really stepping up on them. But
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of that, shout out to Louisville, man, for the upset. What a
100%.
massive upset, dude. Number 2 team in the nation. They were
Yeah.
unranked at the time. They deserve to be ranked with that, with the one loss on the season. So at this point,
Yeah, for sure, man. As soon as I realized it happened, man, I was like, we're gonna have to eat our words on this one. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
I did.
Anytime an unranked team beats a number two team, it doesn't matter how it happened. It doesn't matter
Oh yeah.
what caused it or how the game played out. I mean, it's obvious that Miami got caught slipping,
Mhm.
potentially even overlooking Louisville. Who knows? I mean, I'm not going to speak on their mindset for the game, but like you said, anytime your quarterback throws 4 interceptions and 0 touchdowns, and he's really obviously the fuel for that offense. Something else that stuck out to me when I looked at the stat sheet, and like I said, I didn't watch this game, but sometimes stats can kind of tell you, how the game played out. Not only did Carson Beck throw those 4 interceptions and not a single touchdown, but the entire Miami offense only rushed for 63 yards
Mm,
total. So
yeah.
that kind of stood out to me because I mean, after the second interception or something, you would think that they would really start just pounding the ball, maybe trying something
Yeah.
different. But it seems on paper, at least, that wasn't successful either. So it's just
Uh,
tough loss for Miami, man. Tough loss. Yep. Gotta take those words back potentially.
yeah.
Not the best team
Oh yeah.
in the nation.
No, no, they're not, man. And yeah, like you said, and the thing it's wild, man. We'll get more into the AP poll, but Miami only dropped to number 9. They still don't have. I mean, we mentioned them as one of the teams that don't have a tough remaining schedule left.
Right.
Miami could very well still end up in the playoffs if they win the ACC. I mean,
For sure.
or not even that. They've got one loss, so they win out. They're definitely going to be in the playoffs, which is wild. So maybe that's their setback. I don't know, but that being said, they're still not the best team in the nation.
Yeah. Well, that game right there is just the picture perfect moment that just explains college football in 2025 so far. It's just like you would like to think that your easy games are winnable, but you can
Yep,
just as easily lose them too. You
absolutely.
never know. You never know. I mean, as bad as, and not to jump around because I know we didn't really have this in our game notes or our episode notes, but just take into consideration the Texas Kentucky game and how it played out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know that Texas has been somewhat of a disappointment, and I know that they haven't been as advertised, but I would have never imagined that they would have played like they did against Kentucky and Kentucky take them down to the wire. I mean,
Yeah.
as bad as Texas has looked at times and as big of a disappointment as they've been to this point, I still would have never thought that that game would have played out the way it played out.
Yeah.
So that just kind of shows you anything can happen. It's not the
Yeah.
same college football that from years past. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, man, it really can. Oh, yeah, perfect point. I figured Texas defense alone could win that game just because
Yeah, I mean,
Kentucky has a terrible offense. I mean,
uh-huh.
it shows when their rankings and stuff. Yeah, wild stuff happens, and then of course some of our notable games. I know we're not going to spend a lot of time on this at all, but Georgia beat Ole Miss.
Of course.
That was a big game, 43-35. So kind of a shootout game.
Hmm.
I will say teams are able to put some points on Georgia's defense this year. That's something I
For
have
sure.
noticed. But Gunnar Stockton threw for 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. That'll win you football games when you throw no interceptions, no mistakes like that, and 4 touchdowns. And so Georgia got that win. Two big teams. I mean, and um, like I said, we'll talk about the AP poll here in a minute. You have anything on this or on the Georgia Ole Miss? It's kind of rolling through these notable games here, kind of letting people know,
No, we
touching
got,
on them a little bit.
yeah, I know. The only thing that kind of stuck out to me was I know that here on the podcast we did predict LSU to beat Vandy. That didn't
Yeah.
happen.
No.
We were wrong on that one.
The only thing I was right about that I am happy is at least right about something this weekend. I mean, it's how crazy it is in football. Now, I know my Tennessee prediction could have been a little emotional, Will, because that was not what I had leading up in the week. You can ask Adam; it was a surprise for him, but I did go with it. But I did predict Georgia to beat Ole Miss.
Yep.
That was
Yep.
one game that I did predict that I was just got something right. So
Yep.
um,
100%, man.
Vanderbilt beat LSU 31-24. Probably another good game, man. I did put his stats just to note that he had 160 yards passing, but he had 86 rushing and one
Yeah.
pass touchdown, 2 rush touchdowns. So I mean, he balled out.
He's an impact player, man. He's definitely a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, for sure. And then the last one we kind of made a little prediction on. BYU did beat Utah. We were wrong about that one too.
Ah,
BYU's undefeated at 11 in the nation right now, so that's interesting. But so yeah, Speaking of the AP poll, then while we've been sitting here talking about these, where everybody's kind of been, uh, I'll start with Tennessee, man, because we're still in the top 20, staying at
uh-huh.
17, and that's again why I'm saying, man, the season's. I don't believe the season's over as long as
Mm.
you turn it around, but you have to
Yep.
playoffs start now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? The playoffs start right now, and then it's
Hmm.
the truth. I mean, you're at 17 in the nation. You can definitely get into that top 12, but you're gonna have to win
Yep.
out, and you need teams to lose. I mean, everybody in front of you wins it, and you're not getting in, but you're gonna need some teams to lose, which will happen. I mean, college football's wild, so um, I thought I was a little shocked though. Well, I don't know about you. I thought we'd be in the top 25 still, but we were still in the top 20. So I was like
Yeah.
17. I mean, we set forever at 15 just not too long ago. So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's okay. I'll
it did
take it.
kind of, I figured 20, 21,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, luckily we're sitting there at a 17, so yeah, I'll hang my
Happy,
hat on it.
happy with that from so out of the, not happy with the outcome, but happy with what we got.
Yep.
Of course, Miami dropped to number 9. They did bring Louisville into the top 25 at number 19. Um, I get putting Louisville in there, like I said, being a one-loss team. Miami, however, I was surprised to they stayed in the top 10. I don't know if it's where they were ranked so high too, but
Yeah, it
I,
probably was.
I, I could have seen more in that 12, 13 somewhere, drop down more,
Hmm.
personally. So that kind of shocked me. What do you think on that? Do you agree with that spot?
I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, one
No,
loss, close game. Obviously, they should not
no,
have lost the game. Don't get me wrong, to an
right.
unranked opponent. Definitely, and in Miami for, definitely disappointing.
Yeah. I
So,
really would have
but
been
yeah,
like 3 and 4 or something like terrible. Like,
yeah.
I guess that could have made a difference. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So, I mean, having them where they failed, I'm fine with that. But I think the biggest thing, and it's really to this point, the way they played and what they've been doing, I guess it shouldn't be a shock, but Vandy cracking that top 10.
Top 10, dude. At 10. Deserved, man. I'm not even gonna hate on them. You know, I think I'm done hating on Vandy for the
Yep,
year.
me too.
They deserved it. One loss team.
Yep,
Um, and you know, there was a team that went into Bama and made a couple mistakes that could have flipped the script on how close that game was. So,
100%.
you know, and Vandy's moved on. So Tennessee, take notes, I guess. You know, move on, keep playing. But Vandy right now only one loss, man. They're looking good.
Yep,
6-1, so they're already bowl eligible. So
yep,
it's interesting, man. It's impressive to see them there. The SEC man right now has got like I think I was looking at this. I don't know. We won't spend long on this. I know it wrap it up here, but I mean three obviously Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia is your 3, 4, and 5, and then you got Ole Miss at 8 and Vandy at 10. 5 out of the top 10 right now are
yep,
SEC teams.
yep,
But then you look and you got like with Oklahoma, Missouri, and Tennessee, LSU at 20. You know, so you have
yep,
those four more teams there. You got what do we got? Nine,
yep,
nine out of the top 20
yep.
um, SEC teams. A lot of ranked SEC teams there, man. In Texas, of course, a little 22. So um, still see a lot there. But just thought that was interesting. That many.
Yeah,
You got 5 out of the top 10 still.
yep. And I mean, it's no surprise Alabama just keeps climbing, man. Just keeps
Oh yeah.
climbing. So definitely something to look out for. And of course, Ohio State #1, of course, and then Indiana #2. So there you go, man. I mean,
Well, I'll be the first to tell you. I know we've hated on some stuff, but yeah, I mean, right now, Ohio State, Indiana, I think are the clear number 2 teams in the
yep.
nation right now, regardless of how easy the remainder of their schedule is. You know, I think a lot of people mistake that for us saying that the teams aren't that great or shouldn't be ranked at number 1 or 2, you know,
Right.
and stuff. But you know, and we were just stating that it's facts. But at the same time, right now, I agree, 1 and 2, and until something
Yep.
happens to show otherwise. Maybe is UCLA going to work their magic on Indiana next week? Whatever in the world that, whatever. If they do, if they win, that guy that's taking over right now, that's not even. Just go ahead and give him his contract, man.
Yeah, at UCLA for sure.
Just give him his contract if they win, because if they take out Indiana too, that man needs to be head coach
No doubt.
yesterday. So
No doubt.
yeah, but
I think that's all I've got for this one, man, unless you've got
yeah.
something else.
Yeah, man. No, I agree. No, it's not been one of our most upbeat ones. We kind of had to tuck our tail this one, and just, not our favorite episode we've probably ever had to do, man. But hey, we're gonna keep putting it out there, and win or lose, we're gonna talk about it, man. That's how we got to do. Hey, still though, man, like I always say, it's been fun, Adam, and it's still been fun, man. Regardless,
Yep.
it's
Oh
still been
yeah.
fun, dude, and love doing this. If you, again, like and subscribe if you haven't at this point, and you want to continue to watch us through the rest of the season. It's been a wild college football season. I'm sure it's going to continue to be. So we'll have some wild moments going forward. But happy that's all for you, man. See you later, dude.
All right, brother. Take care, man.